to the ITSM Practice Podcast.
Welcome to the ITSM Practice. I'm Luigi Ferri. An AI support agent receives a request to reset a password. The user asks politely. The AI complies. No malware, no ransomware, no exploit, no vulnerability, no firewall bypass, no endpoint compromise. The AI simply did exactly what it was asked to do. And that's the problem. Most managed service providers are asking the wrong question about AI. They ask, how do we add AI to our services? But the real question is, how does AI change the nature of the service itself? Because if you don't understand that distinction, you will design the wrong controls, manage the wrong risks, and eventually sign contracts that expose you to liabilities you never intended to accept. Let's start with the basics. What is a service? In ITIL terms, a service is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that the customers want to achieve without the customer having to manage specific costs and risks. That's the official definition. Here is the MSP version. A service is a promise. The customer wants an outcome. The provider accepts responsibility for delivering it. The customer wants users supported. You provide a service desk. The customer wants systems secured. You provide a managed security service. The customer wants continuity. You provide backup and recovery. The customer doesn't want to manage the risk. You do. That is the essence of managed services. For decades, services have been designed around a relatively simple assumption. The service is delivered through people, processes, partners, and technology. The service is deterministic. We know the workflow, we know the controls, we know the approvals, we know who is accountable, and when something goes wrong, we can usually identify the cause. A failed server, a bad change, a software defect, a human mistake, a supplier issue. Cause and effect. That has been the foundation of service design. But now, let's make this practical. I believe we are entering a world of three different generations of services. Generation 1, traditional services. Generation 2, AI-assisted services. Generation 3, AI-enabled services. And let's use a service desk as an example. In a traditional service desk, a user opens a ticket. A technician receives it. A documented process is followed. Approvals are checked. Actions are executed. The outcome is driven by people and process. Now, let's move to an AI-assisted service desk. The technician still owns the outcome. The technician still makes the decision. But AI helps. AI drafts responses. AI summarizes incidents. AI suggests knowledge articles. AI recommends actions. The human remains accountable. The service has evolved, but accountability remains clear. Now let's move to an AI-enabled service desk. The AI interacts directly with users. The AI answers questions. The AI creates tickets. The AI executes workflows. The AI resets passwords. The AI becomes part of the service itself. At this point, something fundamental changes. You are no longer managing only technology. You are managing behavior. Now, here is where things become interesting. AI introduced something traditional services never had, a behavioral layer. Every traditional service has an operational layer: infrastructure, applications, networks, processes, people, monitoring, service management, change enablement, incident management, everything ITIL has taught us to govern. AI introduces a second layer, the behavioral layer: models, training data, prompts, context, inference, confidence thresholds, safety controls, behavioral outcomes. And here is why that matters. A server either works or it doesn't. A network either routes traffic or it doesn't. A backup either completed or it didn't. But an AI model can be operating perfectly while producing completely unacceptable outcomes. Think about that. AI is the first technology that can fail while the infrastructure is healthy. The dashboards are green. The systems are available. The service is technically operational. And yet the service is failing because behavior has become part of service delivery. Now, let's talk about the managed service provider problem. Many managed service providers believe they are evaluating whether to adopt AI. I disagree. Most managed service providers have already adopted AI. They simply didn't make the decision themselves. A vendor made it. The PSA vendor made it. Their RMM vendor made it. Their security vendor made it. Their documentation platform made it. Their software as a service providers made it. AI entered the service portfolio through the supply chain, whether anyone approved it or not. Last November, I was discussing this topic with an MSP in Turin. They were supporting services connected to government organizations. The contracts were strict. The use of AI was heavily restricted. The challenge was not that the MSP deployed AI. The challenge was that AI capabilities appeared through vendor software updates. Nobody reviewed the change from an AI perspective. Nobody asked whether the service design had changed. Nobody asked whether governance had changed. Nobody asked whether the customer needed to be informed. The customer noticed first. The result? Escalation, rollback activities, additional cost, customer discussions, governance redesign, and eventually AI controls had to be integrated into the existing ISO 27001 environment. An expensive lesson. And I suspect it won't be the last one, because some managed service providers never choose AI, but they are now responsible for managing services that contain AI. And this creates a new risk. Most managed service providers have already lost visibility of their AI attack surface. Not because they are incompetent, because AI is appearing faster than governance models are evolving. Historically, the managed service provider perimeter was relatively clear, defined: assets, networks, endpoints, identity, applications, data. You could draw a boundary around responsibility. Today, that perimeter is no longer a closed ring. Every software as a service platform introducing AI creates a new behavioral attack surface. Every AI-enabled workflow creates a new governance challenge. Every AI-enabled service introduces new risks that the traditional service design never anticipated. Now, let's discuss accountability. Everybody likes talking about AI opportunities. Very few people like talking about ownership, and ownership is the real discussion. If a managed service provider only manages the infrastructure supporting an AI platform, should it own the AI outcome? If a software vendor built the model, should the MSP own the decision made by the model? If an MSP fine-tunes the model, does ownership change? If an MSP trains the model, does ownership change again? These questions matter because not all AI services are the same. Some managed service providers simply host the infrastructure. Some managed service providers operate AI-enabled platforms. Some managed service providers manage the models. Some managed service providers train the models. Each scenario creates a different responsibility profile. And before discussing AI deployment, organizations need to discuss AI ownership. And that leads to an uncomfortable question that we have in every episode. Show me an MSP contract that defines acceptable AI behavior. No uptime, no response times, no service availability, not RPO, not RTO. Acceptable AI behavior. Most cannot. Yet AI is increasingly participating in service delivery. So let's talk about liability. If an AI-enabled service resets the wrong password, who owns the outcome? The customer, the MSP, the software vendor, the AI provider, the engineer who enabled the feature, the developer who trained the model? Because when lawyers arrive, somebody owns the outcome. And another uncomfortable question: have you checked whether your cyber insurance covers AI-generated incidents? I'm not going to answer that question today. I simply want you to verify it, because assumptions are not controls. And now let's talk about governance. This is why frameworks such as the NIST AI RMF exist. This is why ISO 42001 exists. This is why the EU AI Act exists. And this is why main organizations will eventually have to integrate AI governance into existing ISO 27001 environments. These frameworks are not telling us AI is another application. They are telling us AI is another governance domain. The cybersecurity industry spent decades protecting systems. AI requires us to protect behaviors. Those are different disciplines. And governance created after deployment is usually more expensive than governance designed upfront. So, what should managed service providers do tomorrow morning? Start with your service portfolio. Review every service. Classify every service. Traditional service, AI-assisted service, AI-enabled service. Understand what is delivered without AI. Understand what is delivered with AI. Then discuss it with the customers. What level of AI involvement is acceptable? What level of human oversight is required? What level of transparency is required? Who owns outcomes? Who owns model behavior? Who owns training data? Who owns risk? Then define the shared responsibility model. And if AI increases value, increases capability, and increases risk, maybe it should also increase price, because the service design has changed. And when service design changes, commercial models should change too. Only then should you establish governance. Only then should you define policies. Only then should you update contracts. Only then should you integrate AI into risk management, supplier management, security management, change enablement, and service design. And now, let me leave you with the one final thought. The moment AI starts making decisions inside the service has changed whether you updated the service catalog or not. If your service catalog includes AI, but your governance model doesn't, if your vendors are deploying AI faster than your risk management assessment can evaluate it, if your contract describes uptime but not AI behavior, if your security program protects infrastructure but ignores behavior, then your contracts are probably behind your AI risk. AI made the MSP perimeter no longer a closed ring. And the uncomfortable truth is that many managed service providers never choose AI in the first place. Their vendors choose it for them. The question now is whether they are going to govern it. This is the ITSM Practice Podcast. I'm Luigi Ferri. Arrivederci.